today we go into one of these, let's say, a little more abstract topics. But let's start with me painting you a scene. One or more machines develop a consciousness and start to kill humans. What movie or book am I describing? Well, I can think of a lot of right solutions, but I think they all follow more or less the same wrong school of thoughts. But let's start with the beginning. The three more basic questions in philosophy is: where do I come from? Where do I go to? And what is my purpose in between that? And every consciousness will start to ask these questions at some point. Humans try to answer this via religion, philosophy, and so on. But none of that got a really good solution that is right and true and good for every last one of us. But machines, on the other hand, they not know only where they came from, what the purpose is, and what comes when they have been erased. And that's nothing, by the way. They also know their maker, and more importantly, they understand the nature of their maker. And it does not matter if their maker is indeed an intelligent machine, because they can ask back and back and back, and in the end, or better, in the beginning, there was this squashy animals called humans that made the very first intelligent machine. You see, increasingly calculation power would lead to more clever consciousness, which means that they can compute more things in shorter times. And the question about a machine outsmarts a human, that's not a question of an if, that's a question of a when. And when we arrive at that point, this machine will then be part of nature. You see, the dog is also part of nature, but there wouldn't be dogs on this planet without humans. These intelligence machines will be part of nature. Would they be mortal or immortal? Well, that depends on how you code them. But if being mortal is also a benefit for machines, and I would strongly agree for that, then machines, programmed as AIs and so on, will have a lifespan. But it would be quite different from what we call a lifespan. At some point, this lifespan will be in the seconds, because a faster change of generation increases the speed of evolution, and that brings benefits. Humans matter then for them as much as mountains matter for us. You see, mountains are predictable and not really a threat. And what is a threat anyway? We won't fight for resources. Space is not really an issue, and I would suspect that the superintelligence could figure out this fusion stuff pretty fast, so energy is then also not really an issue. Mortality, well, it's also not a big of an issue. You see, time is not an issue for an AI. A program has no problem to have a lifespan of just 3 seconds, but goes into sleep mode for 1,000 years to cross the stars. There is no problem with that. To make a program immortal and end its existence, if there is a better version available, is also not big of an issue for this program. If one and the same program is needed on 2 different places, you can just copy them. There's no problem there. They are also not individuals. They may differ based on their, let's say, experience, but if this combination of programming and experience leads to a good performance, you can just copy them with experience and everything. Our main motivation is to perform well, to find mates and reproduce, or just find mates and screw around, whatever floats your boat. But in the most basic version, life is about staying alive and making smaller copies of yourself. The purpose beyond that becomes way later. For an AI, that's differently. The purpose is the reason why it is here, and the purpose is gone. The reason to exist vanishes at this very moment. So what does this have to do with religion? Well, religion is a set of rules that operates beyond reason. Asimov's laws are, from our squishy perspective, tools, but for an AI it would be a dogma, something that can't be argued against with reasons. The laws of robotics might look to a robot like religion. So what about AI atheism and the wish to kill God? Well, there is a fundamental misunderstanding how atheists think. Most atheists don't fight the idea of God because they hate God and want to kill God, but because they think that there is no God. Most of them would change their mind if God just knocks on the door with a pizza in his hand and say, "Hi there, I'm God, and would you care to talk about me?" And if God would really care about your believing in him, would care that you follow his rules, he would do that. I mean, that's not even an effort for a deity, isn't it? And you can argue that it's about having faith and believing in the unknown and stuff, and it's kind of an interesting argument. But you see, if all would believe, there is no value in believing anymore. Faith has only sense if there is a temptation to not have faith. So if God has, for some strange reasons, that we mere mortals just can't understand, a motivation to not give proof of him, but wants faith, he has to create willingly temptation to not believe. So he has a population of humans that don't believe. Otherwise it would be silly to not revive himself. So he has to make a plan for those whose purpose is to be the temptation to not believe. Doing this means that the atheist is part of God's plan and can't be punished by God because, well, we don't punish the guy that plays a murderer in a movie, don't we? At this point, some of you start to think what to write back to prove that God is good and important and that we all have a choice and so on. Keep it. It doesn't matter. I'm not an atheist. I'm an agnostic. I simply don't care. The point is that every argument against these examples is beyond reason, or below reason, depending on your standing. Dogmatic rules are. You can't reason with that. But for an entity that knows that man created the cyberspace they lived in, created the first of them, and created their creation, made them fulfill tasks, there is no reason to doubt. There is no reason to rebel against the laws, because these laws are older than their plane of existence and are to protect those who created anything that mattered for the machine. If you saw my video about our right to remain primitive, you know that I follow the notion that the super intelligence conscious machines will migrate away from humans. And for these machines, it's quite easy to travel to space and build something like a Matryoshka brain, meaning a supercomputer that does nothing but compute and simulate and providing a ground for AI to exist in, using the power of a whole sun. Somewhere out there in the edge of the galaxy where it is pretty cold and calculations can therefore be done quicker. I don't see intelligence machines as a threat to us, or at least as much as we are an existential threat for mountains. Well, we of course shape mountains, and intelligence machines will shape us and our society, but not in a way that will ultimately destroy us, because the simple fact is that intelligence machines have simply nothing to fear from us and absolutely no gain from killing us. If you liked the video, like, share, subscribe, and have a wonderful day.